my once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to get the Sucker 3000 vacuum cleaner. Please, just stop harassing me.
Sexual harassment is a type of bullying intended to hurt or intimidate someone. It can include making sexual jokes, comments, or gestures to or about someone, spreading sexual rumors in person, by text, or online, writing sexual messages about people on bathroom stalls or in other public places, showing someone inappropriate sexual pictures or videos, touching, grabbing, or pinching someone in a deliberately sexual way, asking someone to send you naked pictures of herself or himself, pulling at someone's clothing, and brushing up against someone in a purposefully sexual way. If you are being harassed, don't blame yourself. The idea that someone was asking for it because of something they did, said, or were wearing is false and unacceptable. It often can be helpful to start by telling the person doing the harassing to stop. Let him or her know that this behavior is not okay with you. If that doesn't stop the harassment, don't just ignore the behavior. Usually, ignoring it won't make it stop. Instead, tell a trusted adult about it. Telling someone sooner leads to faster results. You should keep a record of the events that have happened. That way you'll have them if your school or family has to take legal action. Remember, no one has the right to sexually harass or bully anyone else, no matter what.
Assalamualaikum and hello everyone. Today I and my team we want to talk about sexual harassment and the other information about sexual harassment, like the risk, how to avoid or prevent it, who's that involved, and more. Okay. First of all is sexual harassment means any unwanted or illegal sexual activity that is insulting, threatening, or creates an unpleasant atmosphere. Any sort of sexual misbehavior that causes someone to feel uneasy, intimidated, or violated might be include unwanted touching, sexual approaches, remarks, jokes, gestures, and other familiar behavior. It is crucial to remember that sexual harassment may happen anywhere. For example, in social media, public areas, at workplace, and also can be at school. The important thing is at school because the percentage sexual harassment at school nowadays is increasing. 81% of student grades 8 until 11 that report sexual harassment, and also 87% says that sexual harassment has a negative effect on them. Okay. Okay. The common relationship in sexual harassment are include first is victim, second is place, and third is perpetrator. First is victim, can be male or female regardless the age that young or old. Place can be university, school, workplace, and also social media. Thirdly, a perpetrator. Usually, the perpetrator is the one who have a power or superior, like headmaster, teachers, school worker, employer, manager, and more. Okay, the sexual harassment can be categorized into different types based on nature, behavior, which are quid pro quo, physical harassment, cyber harassment, and more. Mm, Firstly is quid pro quo. This kind of harassment happen when the perpetrator, such as a manager or teacher, promises chance for advancement at school in return for such a favor. For example, is Yaya's professor offer for additional helps about physics subject, which attempts to give her excellent grade, but in return he makes something back to her. Secondly is physical harassment. Okay, the physical harassment when someone is physically harassed sexually, such as the they are being touched, grabbed, or brushed against without their permission. Additionally, enforced or forced sexual behavior may be included. Okay, thirdly is cyber harassment. As technology that has advanced, sexual harassment may now happen online. Okay, for example, is sending invited sexual message and using electronic method to propagate rumors or graphic photograph without permission and more. The situation like this, okay, Balkis using group chat as a way to gang up on the person, and I am pretty sure student Gen Z like you all know the media social more than your parents. So that you need to be more careful with the cyber harassment and don't become the perpetrator of victim. Okay, we continue with the next slide. For the sake of well-being and growth of pupils, it is crucial that social harassment in secondary primary school need to taken seriously. The emotional, physiological, and intellectual well-being of children and also the workers who are subjected to sexual harassment can suffer greatly as we look nowadays. Okay. First of all is workplace environment for the workers. The toxic environments can be created by this issue. It may result in lower job satisfaction, high rates of employer turnover, and become worse worker performance and productivities. It is very crucial for the workers like teacher to avoid the sexual harassment by report the authority. If we stop this issue, the workplace can become a good environment to learn new things, and our relationship with each workers can stay strong. Mm. Secondly is emotional well-being for students. A child's emotional well-being can be greatly impacted by sexual harassment, which can cause emotions of uncertainty, fear, and worry. So, by addressing and stopping sexual harassment, we can create an enjoyable and encouraging school environment that supports each student emotional health. Lastly, in order to avoid and handle sexual harassment, school must put in place through rules and procedure, inform to parents if something happened, and have clear reporting protocol in place. We can avoid a secure and encouraging learning environment for all primary school pupils by implementing this action. That's all for the introduction and significance of sexual harassment, and my team will continue this issue to help you guys know better about the sexual harassment and take it seriously this issue in the future.
So everyone, let's continue our session with factors, causes or reason how sexual harassment can happen. Have all of you wondered why and what is the causes of sexual harassment? Is it our fault or whose fault is this? When did it start? There are a lot of factors how sexual harassment can happen in school. The first one is lack of education and awareness. Why I said lack of education and awareness can lead to sexual harassment? Education is a major factor in determining our attitudes and action towards other people. People may behave inappropriately or disrespectfully more frequently if they are not taught the value of consent, limits, and respects in relationship. For example, since year 2, student has been taught about safe touch and unsafe touch as stated in the year 2 Pendidikan Jasmani and Kesehatan textbook in the page 70 and 71. But the teaching only contains a little information, which is only 2 pages and does not explain in detail to increase students' awareness about the dangers of sexual harassment. So, what can we do about it? Parents and teachers present today, we play a very important role in making students aware about the importance of learning sexual harassment so that our children will not become one of the victims of the sexual harassment. As we can see in the slide, the example of safe touch are parents or grandparents hugs and kisses, teachers pat your head or back and says good job, brief friendly hugs by family members, brief kiss on the cheek and forehead, shaking hands, giving high five or the fist bumps, and touch that does not scare or make you feel bad, while bad touch make you feel afraid, bad, ashamed, hurts or is forced, told that it should be kept as a secret, kissing on the mouth, touching private areas, and spitting, slapping, pushing, punching, and etc. Next, power imbalance. When we hear about power, we must think about people who have a higher position than us. But power can also be categorized as power in terms of age, title, gender, and even worse, sexual harassment can come from one's own family. Why I said family members can also be included in terms of power because of their responsibilities or position in a certain family members may have the authority or power over others. Parents, elder siblings, or other relatives who are viewed as the leading individuals may fall under this category. Since family connections are based on trust and dependency, it may be especially harmful when those in the position has an authority use their power to harass and abuse children. There are a lot of cases sexual harassment happen among family members. 1,703 cases are recorded for sexual intercourse between family members involved underage victims in 2018 until November 2023. When someone has higher power and older than us, students often feel scared to tell parents and teachers if something like this happens. More than 8 out of 10 children who experience sexual abuse are aware of their abuser. They can be a neighbors, babysitter, friends, or family members, and many of them also have responsible jobs in the community. The chance that the children will disclose the abuse decreases with the degree of intimacy between them and the abuser. So, as a parent and a teacher, in this situation, what should we do? File a report if you suspect a child abuse, and please bring your children to the doctor for further examination. In the current digital era, media plays a major role in influencing the attitude and action of the general people. I believe majority of the students here today have their own smartphone, isn't it? And I believe everyone has their own social media, including the parents and the teachers. It is dangerous for the children to have a smartphone without a parental guidance. The media's influence can encourage negative attitude and actions, such as harassment. Meta estimates about 100,000 children using Facebook and Instagram receive an online sexual harassment each day, including a pictures of adult private part, according to the internal company documents made public late Wednesday. These kind of things are very crucial for our country. How to create a safe media for children? The first one, check on their activity regularly, including what they watch and their search history. If they have a social media account, please make sure that we as a parents know with whom our children talk to. Additionally, the media has the power of minimize and normalize harassment incidents. People are more inclined to perceive harassment as a harmless or acceptable when it is presented as a comical or unimportant in a film, TV, or shows or internet contents. Repeated exposure to the same image, expression, and thoughts can disrupt people's action and lead to increased violence. So students, be careful of what you see in media and try your best to avoid any harmful content. Understand? Gender stereotypes are also a common reason why sexual harassment keep happen. 81% of women and 43% of men have faced sexual harassment in their life. We can see the difference between men and women, almost half of it. Why do you think women are often be the victims of sexual harassment? The obvious things, of course, power and energy. Men are physically stronger than women. Men have position of authorities in numerous fields which make it easier for women to be harassed and taken advantages of. This problem is made worse by the absence and silence of women in the position of authority, which make it difficult for victims to speak out against their abuses. But boys in here don't feel very happy, because sexual harassment can happen to everyone. As you can see on the screen, male cases are also increasing by years. But of course, women cases are the obvious one. In 2022, there are 35 cases reported involving children as sexual harassment victims. These trends are very worrying because these statistics only involve cases that are being reported. And how about the children that silently be sexual harassed because they're afraid to open up to other people? One major worry is the underreporting of sexual harassment, especially involving children. It can be difficult for victims, particularly younger ones, to come forward and ask for assistance due to the stigma and fears of punishment and lack of supports. It's critical to establish secure and encouraging spaces where victims feel empowered to speak up and get the help they require. Alright, please remember to speak up if you are being sexually harassed, and please don't keep it by yourself. Last but not least, choosing the wrong circle can be reason sexual harassment happen. Please surround yourself only in a positive and right circle. Simple thing, just choosing the right circle can make you feel safe and avoid sexual harassment. To setting and maintaining limits, it's critical to encourage polite and honest reaction as well as an understanding of contextual indicators. To reduce the risk of harassment and avoid misunderstandings, it might be helpful to create a situation where people feel comfortable sharing their boundaries and concerns. And students, how to know that your circle are toxic in this situation? People often act in ways that they believe to be funny or harmless when interacting with others, such as making jokes, compliments, or hugging. But not all things can be joked. I will give you some situation. If you are walking in a corridor and suddenly someone touching your unsafe place to touch, such as your private part or lips, do you think is it the right things to do? Another situation. In public, students can be heard calling out sexually provocative remarks to one another, such as making kissing noises or whistling. You might think that they may be joking around, but this is a serious situation. It is one of the sexual harassment. There are a lot of things that considered as sexual harassment, but we are not aware of it. Okay, my session ends here. Thank you so much for paying attention. Please take care of yourself.
Let's talk about the risks now. The risks are very serious and varied for the victim. First, there is the emotional toll. Suffering from the sexual harassment might result in depressive, anxious, or shameful sentiments. It weakens their sense of self-worth and may harm their mental health over time. These negative emotions frequently linger long even after the harassment has stopped, impairing the victim's relationships, productivity at work, and general well-being. Moreover, the psychological consequences of sexual harassment may extend beyond the victim and harm their friends, family, and community. Next, there are also risks related to a profession. When victims speak up, they frequently worry about reprisal or harm to their careers. They can be afraid of being labeled as troublemakers or of having their allegation discounted or met with incredulity. They may be afraid to report the harassment and ask for the assistance they require as a result. Additionally, it could be difficult for sexual harassment victims to keep up professional connections and networking opportunities. Their professional growth and possibilities may be limited as a result of their fear of being singled out or not being taken seriously, which can make it difficult for them to connect with mentors, colleagues, and potential employers. Sexual harassment also can affect a group and organizations. Talented people may quit, production declines, and trust is undermined in the toxic culture that is created. Organizations that ignore sexual harassment may also be financially liable, legally liable, and suffer reputational harm. Taking action against sexual harassment in the workplace is essential to creating a welcoming and safe atmosphere. Establishing strong regulation offerings throughout training and actively assisting victims are all ways that organizations can foster an environment that values equality, respect, and trust. Let's focus on the consequences for now. There are 3 consequences for the victims. Number 1 is damaged relationship. Sexual harassment has serious and wide-ranging consequences. The effect could influence a victim's entire life. It also can cause significant harm to the relationships between colleagues, friends, or even romantic partners. When one person violates another's boundaries or makes them feel unsafe, it can lead to feelings of betrayal, mistrust, and resentment. These negative emotions can make it difficult or even impossible for the relationship to continue in a healthy way. But in some cases, the victim may choose to end the relationship entirely, while in other cases, they may attempt to work through the damage with the offender. However, rebuilding the trust and repairing the harm done can be a long and difficult process, and not all relationships are salvageable. Next is career setbacks. Sexual harassment can have a detrimental effect on a victim's career. The experience of harassment can lead to decreased productivity and a limited number of opportunities for advancement within the workplace. When victims are subjected to harassment, they may feel distracted, anxious, or demoralized, which can significantly impact their ability to focus on their work. This can result in a decline in productivity and overall job performance. Moreover, victims of sexual harassment may face barriers in career progression, and their opportunities for growth and advancement within the organization may be hindered due to the negative impact on their professional reputation, as well as the emotional toll is taken on their overall well-being. The effects of sexual harassment can extend beyond the moment of the incident and have a lasting impact on victims' life and well-being. Victims may suffer from long-term emotional and psychological distress, which can affect their mental health and overall quality of life. Sexual harassment can cause feelings of shame, guilt, and low self-esteem, which can erode a victim's sense of self-worth and lead to depression, anxiety, and other mental health issues. Victims may also experience physical symptoms such as insomnia, headache, and stomach problems as a result of the stress and trauma of the experience. In addition to personal toll, sexual harassment can also have significant professional and organizational implications. Victims may feel hesitant to report harassment due to fear of retaliation or damage to their career, and may also struggle to advance professionally due to negative impact on their reputation and mental health. Now, let's talk about the consequences for the offenders. Firstly is legal penalties. Offenders who engage in sexual harassment may face a range of legal consequences. These can include criminal charge, civil lawsuits, and employment termination. Criminal charge may be filed against offenders depending on the severity of the harassment and the applicable laws in the jurisdiction. This charge can result in fines, probation, or even imprisonment. In addition to criminal charge, victims of sexual harassment may choose to pursue civil lawsuits against their harassers. These lawsuits can seek compensation for damage for damages such as emotional distress, medical expenses, and loss of income. In addition to the legal and emotional consequences of sexual harassment, offenders may also face a reputational damage. Sexual harassment can tarnish an individual's reputation both within their workplace and in the broader community. When allegations of sexual harassment become public, offenders may face social stigma and public scrutiny. This can lead to damage to their personal and professional reputation as well as potential loss of employment and career opportunities. Furthermore, organizations that fail to address and prevent sexual harassment may also suffer reputational harm. News of harassment incidents can damage the organization's public image, leading to the decreased trust and reduced customer and investor confidence. This can result in negative financial and organizational implications for the company. It is important for individuals and organizations to be aware of the reputational harm that can result from sexual harassment and take proactive steps to prevent and address it.
Hello and Assalamualaikum. I am Nur Alam Masra binti Yazid and I'm from Medical Radiation. And in this slide, I will tell you about the legal action related to the sexual harassment at the school. We all should know that the sexual harassment is a serious issue and it's very important for everyone to understand the legal action and also the protection that available in the case of sexual harassment. In that statistic that I have shown in this slide, in Malaysia, the case of sexual harassment is increasing year by year, neither at the school, workplace, or in the public. And I also pick up one article that show about the 35 case reported last year about the sexual harassment that include the children. It's very worrying because we heard before, uh, the victim of the case is always be a woman, and now they aim for the woman and the children. So it's very worrying, and we have, as a parent, a teacher, and or as a mother, we should know how to do and how to explain to the children about um sexual harassment, what is sexual harassment, what we have gonna do when we the victim of the sexual harassment. So the sexual harassment is very serious issue. We all know that in Malaysia there are a laws that protect persons right against the sexual harassment. I in this in this slide, I provide the poster about the sexual harassment at 2022 and existing penal code. This poster is about, according to the section 2 of the anti-sexual harassment, at 2022, sexual harassment is defined as any unwanted conduct of a sexual nature in any form, whether in the verbal, non-verbal, visual, gesture, or physical, direct to a person who is reasonably offensive to his or her well. And now this is become an important part because we gonna know about some key aspect of legal action of sexual harassment in Malaysian school. It include three aspects, which is school level actions, and number two is external reporting and legal action, and number three is counseling and support. Number one is school level action. What the school level action gonna tell you about? If the student have been experienced sexual harassment at school, it's very important to the student to report the incident to the school authorities. School authorities is mean the principal, the counselor, the teacher, because when the student report to the school authorities, it's become they will investigate the complaint and take the appropriate action. It mean that when the student report to the teacher, to the principal, they gonna do and they gonna find out who do it for you and what the action they have to do to the to offended. that do the sexual harassment to the student. So don't be afraid or don't be shy to to tell the teacher, to tell the school authorities about you become one of the victim of sexual harassment, because it's very dangerous, because nowadays sexual harassment is become a joke. So as a student, we have to take action, and as a teacher, we have to take a serious action about the sexual harassment. And now we're gonna look about the external reporting and legal action. There are several differences between the perpetrator and also the law against the school. And now we're gonna look about the perpetrator. The victim can file a civil lawsuit against the individual responsible for the harassment for damage such as emotional distress and also the therapy is. And the perpetrator also can fines and imprisonment. And now we're going to look about the legal action against the school. When the school fail to take the action to prevent the harassment, the victim may file a lawsuit against the school and get the compensation, which means that they receive the same punishment but in the different way, because the perpetrator they can also fines and imprisonment, but the school they can get the compensation. And now we're going to look about the example case of the penalty perpetrator. This case is happened just new in this year also, in April 17, 2024, which is a former student in Maryland has filed a sex abuse lawsuit against the McDonald School, alleging sexual abuse by a former Jane Evelyn Leigh from 1980 to 1984. The lawsuit, filed under the Maryland Child Victim Act, alleges the school have evaded accountability for such abuse following a 2019 report, a multiple allegation. It means that the legal action is against the school, because the school don't take any action about the sexual harassment to that student. So this become so the school had to pay to the victims for the case of sexual harassment. And the third one is counseling and support. Victims may seek counseling and support services to help them cope with the emotional impact of the harassment. And the school sexual harassment victims should receive a counseling and resource to navigate the legal process and recover from the trauma. Why the counseling and the support play as a crucial role in helping victims of sexual harassment in school. This is because the victim of the sexual harassment at school should know that they are not alone. When they love to tell a story about us, uh, when they're willing to tell a story to us, we have to support them and give them a little word of encouragement that they are not feeling alone and they are not into the depression. So we as a counselor and as a supporter, we should we have to not let them to be alone, and always uh to be there with them when they are needed to tell us a story. Okay, the last one is the example of the cases in sexual harassment, either in the overseas or in Malaysia. We know there are various cases in the Malaysia and also the in overseas. We should know that the sexual harassment is a serious issue, and we as a woman or as a younger people to the next generation, we have to know and have um gain some information about what we gonna do when we as a victim of sexual harassment, what is sexual harassment is. So sexual harassment is a serious issue, and we should be on guard about these cases. So that's all from me about the legal action that related to the sexual harassment in the school.
Ways to prevent sexual harassment. So, let me explain what ways that we can do to prevent sexual harassment. First way that we can do is understanding sexual harassment. Sexual harassment in primary school can take various forms, including unwanted touching, inappropriate comment or gesture, exposure to sexual materials, and bullying based on gender or sexuality. It's important to recognize that children may not always understand the gravity of their actions or the concept of harassment, but this does not diminish the impact on the victim. What things or kind of sexual harassment does student need to understand? First is unwanted touching. This form of sexual harassment involves any physical contact that is unwelcome or makes a child feel uncomfortable. It can range from hugs or kisses to more intrusive actions such as groping or fondling. Children may not always have the language to express their discomfort or may feel pressured to accept physical contact, even it makes them feel uneasy. Secondly is inappropriate comments or gesture. Sexual harassment can also manifest through verbal or non-verbal communication that is sexually suggestive, offensive, or inappropriate for a school setting. This may include lewd remarks, sexual jokes, gesture, or any others that create a hostile or uncomfortable environment for the victim. Children may be especially vulnerable to this type of harassment as they may not fully grasp the implication of such comment or feel intimidated to speak out against them. Second is age-appropriate education. Educating young children about appropriate behavior, boundaries, and respect for others is crucial for preventing sexual harassment. Teachers and school staff should use age-appropriate language and methods to teach children about consent or personal space and respectful interactions. First is understanding boundaries. Teaching your children about boundaries involves helping them recognize and respect their own personal space and the personal space of others. This can be introduced through simple activities and discussion that emphasize concepts such as my body belongs to me and I have the right to say no. Using age-appropriate language and examples, teachers can help children understand that they have control over their bodies and can assert their boundaries when they feel uncomfortable. The second is learning about consent. Consent is a fundamental aspect of healthy relationship, even at a young age. Educating children about consent involves teaching them that it's important to ask for and receive permission before touching someone else or engaging in physical interaction. Through story, role-playing, and interactive activities, children can learn about the importance of respecting others' boundaries and understanding that no means no. Number 3 is respecting differences. Promoting respect for other differences is essential for preventing harassment and fostering inclusivity. Teachers can introduce concepts of diversity, empathy, and acceptance through discussion, books, and activities that highlight the value of treating everyone with kindness and respect, regardless of difference in gender, race, ability, or background. Number 4 is identify trusted adults. Helping children to identify trusted adults who they can turn to for help and support is an important aspect of their safety education. Teachers can encourage children to identify adults in their life such as parents, teachers, or school counselors who they can trust to listen to them and help them in situations where they feel uncomfortable or unsafe. Then next is recognizing safe and unsafe situations. Teaching children to recognize and respond to unsafe situations is crucial for their safety and well-being. Using age-appropriate scenarios and discussion, teachers can help children identify behaviors or situations that make them feel uncomfortable or scared and empower them with strategies for seeking help and staying safe. Next is encouraging open communication. Creating a classroom environment where children feel comfortable asking questions, sharing their feelings, and expressing concern is essential for effective education on sexual harassment. Teachers can foster open communication by actively listening to the children, validating their experiences, and addressing their question and concern with empathy and understanding. Next ways to prevent is clear policies and procedures. Primary schools should have clear policies and procedures in place for preventing and addressing sexual harassment. These policies should be written in language that children can understand and include reporting mechanisms that are accessible to young students. Primary schools should have written policies that clearly define sexual harassment, outline prohibited behaviors, and establish procedure for reporting and addressing incidents. Firstly, we can do is policy development. Schools should establish comprehensive policies that clearly define sexual harassment, outline prohibited behaviors, and establish consequences for violations. Policies should be developed in collaboration with relevant stakeholders, including school administrators, teachers, parents, and legal experts to ensure they are comprehensive, fair, and effective. The language used in policy should be clear, concise, and age-appropriate, making it accessible to young students. Visual aids, simple language, and example can help convey complex concepts in a way that children can understand. Second is prevention strategies. Policies should outline proactive prevention strategies aimed at fostering a culture of respect, consent, and inclusivity within the school community. This may include educational programs, workshops, and activities designed to teach students about boundaries, consent, and respectful relationships. Prevention efforts should also focus on promoting bystander intervention and empowering students to speak up against harassment and support their peers. Number 3 is what we can do is reporting mechanism. Schools should establish clear and accessible reporting mechanism that allow students to report incident of sexual harassment safely and confidentially. Reporting options should be clearly obtained in the school policies and communicated to students, parents, and staff through multiple channels such as student handbooks, school website, and classroom discussion. Reporting mechanisms should be designed to accommodate the needs of young students, providing options for anonymous reporting, direct reporting to trusted adults, and access to support services. Next is response and investigation procedures. Policies should outline the steps that will be taken in response to reports of sexual harassment, including how incident will be investigated and resolved. School should design it train staff members responsible for receiving and responding to reports of harassment, ensuring that victims are supported and perpetrators are held accountable. Response procedures should prioritize the safety and well-being of victims, providing access to counseling, advocacy, and other support services as needed. Lastly, a regular review and revision. School policy and procedure on sexual harassment should be regularly reviewed and updated to ensure that they remain relevant and effective. This may involve soliciting feedback from students, parents, and staff, conducting periodic assessment of the school prevention efforts, and staying informed about best practice and legal requirements related to sexual harassment prevention. Staff training. Teachers, administrators, and other school staff should receive training on how to recognize signs of sexual harassment among students and how to respond effectively. Staff should be prepared to provide support to victims, investigate incidents thoroughly, and take appropriate disciplinary action when necessary. First step is recognizing signs of sexual harassment. Training should educate teachers, administrators, and school staff on the various forms of sexual harassment and the signs that a student may be experiencing harassment. This includes understanding behavioral cues, change in demeanor, and patterns in interaction that may indicate a student is being harassed. Staff should be trained to recognize both of the forms of harassment, such as physical touching or verbal abuse, as well as more subtle forms such as intimidation, coercion, or online harassment. Next is responding effectively. Staff should be equipped with the knowledge and skill to respond effectively when a student reports experiencing sexual harassment. This includes providing immediate support and validation to the victim, ensuring their safety and well-being, and connecting them with appropriate resources and support services. Staff should also be trained on how to handle disclosure of sexual harassment sensitively and confidentially, respecting the privacy and dignity of the victim while taking steps to address the situation. Next is true investigation. Training should provide staff with guidance on conducting true and impartial investigation into reports of sexual harassment. These include gathering relevant information, interviewing witnesses, documenting evidence, and assessing the credibility of the allegations. Staff should be trained on how to maintain confidentiality throughout the investigation process while also ensuring transparency and accountability. Next is taking appropriate disciplinary action. Staff should understand the school policies and procedure for addressing sexual harassment and be prepared to take appropriate disciplinary action when necessary. This may include implementing consequences for the perpetrator, such as counseling, mediation, suspension, or expulsion, depending on the severity and frequency of the harassment. Staff should also be trained on how to communicate disciplinary decision to all parties involved in a clear, compassionate, and respectful manner. Ongoing professional development. Staff training on sexual harassment prevention and response should be ongoing and integrated into professional development programs. This allows staff to stay informed about emerging issues, best practice, and legal requirements related to sexual harassment, preventing and response. Staff should have opportunities to participate in workshops, seminars, and training sessions facilitated by experts in the field of sexual harassment. By providing comprehensive and ongoing training of teachers, administrators, and school staff, primary school can strengthen their capacity to recognize, respond to, and prevent sexual harassment among students. Staff training is a critical component of creating a safe and supportive learning environment where every student feels respected, valued, and protected. Next is collaboration with family. Engaging parents and guardians in the effort to prevent sexual harassment in primary school is crucial. Schools should provide resources and information to parents about how to talk to their children about consent, boundaries, and respectful relationship, and encourage open communication between home and school. Providing resources and information. Schools should provide parents with resources and information about how to talk to their children about consent, boundaries, and respectful relationships. This can include educational materials, workshops, webinars, or parent education sessions led by school counselors, psychologists, or community organizations specialized in child development and sexual health education. Next is empowering parents as educators. Parents can be empowered with the knowledge and skills to initiate conversation about sensitive topics such as sexual harassment with their children. Schools can provide guidance and age-appropriate language strategy for initiating discussion and addressing questions or concerns that may arise during conversation. Next is encouraging open communication. Schools should foster an environment of open communication between home and school, where parents feel comfortable reaching out to teachers, counselor, or administrator with questions or concerns related to sexual harassment prevention. Next is encouraging parents to share their insight and experiences can help school better understanding the needs of concern of the student and family. Number 4 is collaborative prevention strategies. School and parents can collaborate on developing and implementing prevention strategies tailored to the unique needs and dynamic of the school community. This may include organizing parent-led workshops or activities focused on promoting healthy relationships, setting boundaries, and recognizing signs of harassment. For conclusion, I would like to give some speech and some advices to the student, teacher, and parent. So firstly is to the student. Dear student, the heart of school community. Each of you deserve to feel safe and respected every day that you come to school. Remember that your body belongs to you and no one has the right to touch you in a way that makes you uncomfortable. If someone says or does something that feels wrong, it's important to speak up. You have the right to tell a trusted adult, whether it is teacher, counselor, or family member. We are here to listen and support to you. Treat each other with kindness and respect. Be a friend who listens, support, and stand up for others. If you see something that doesn't seem right, don't be afraid to speak up or seek help. Together we can create a school where everyone feels safe and included. Next, to the teacher and staff. Teacher and staff play a crucial role in shaping school culture and ensuring the safety of students. It's essential that we lead by example and model respectful behavior in all interaction. Take the time to educate students about consent, boundaries, and respectful relationships. Use age-appropriate language and activities to make this concept understandable. Be vigilant and attentive to signs of harassment among students. If you witness or hear about any incidents, take them seriously and follow the proper procedure for reporting and addressing them. We must work together to create an environment where students feel comfortable coming forward and seeking for help when they need it. Lastly, is to the parents or guardians. For parents and guardians, your partnership is invaluable in our efforts to prevent sexual harassment and promote a culture of respect in our school community. Talk to your children about consent, boundaries, and the importance of treating others with kindness and respect. Encourage open communication and let them know that you are always there to listen and support them. Be proactive in addressing any concern or incident that arise. If your child tells you about something that happened at school, take it seriously and follow up with appropriate school personnel. Together, we can create a supportive network that protects our children and promotes their well-being. In conclusion, sexual harassment requiring the commitment and collaboration of our entire school community. Let's work together to create a safe, inclusive, and respectful environment where every child can thrive.